What up, loved ones? What it do? Spotty Young right here. You know where I'm from. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to this channel right here, just hit the subscribe button real quick, man. And give it a like if you think it's cool, if you think it's real, you know what I mean? On this latter episode right now, I'm going to share from my point of view, from my perspective, my experience doing time with the Bulldogs. You know what I'm talking about? And at the same time, I want to shed some light. I want to shed some clarity to alleviate confusion about some of the questions I get asked a lot on the comment section from my supporters, from the real ones, from the real OGs. Shout out to all you guys, man. Shout out to all the real ones, you know what I'm talking about. And also, I want to do a shout out to Nate Dog 916 real quick. I did an interview last night, so you guys might want to check it out. Nate Dog 916, you know what I'm talking about. Anywho, so I get asked a lot, like, how do we know who's telling the truth and who's real and who's just faking the funk and stuff like that, you know? That's really a huge subject, but to summarize that real quick, I'm gonna share a little bit of story about how do you know who's active, who's PC, who's a dropout, who's people like me that just came out the system as a GP and just staying out the way, staying out of trouble. You know what I'm talking about? What's the difference? We don't get it, you know, because usually from a regular civilian's point of view, somebody that's not involved in a gang world from the outside looking in, they would assume that a big buff guy all tatted up and shit with, you know, you got tattoos on your face, they would assume that that guy is a gangster or what they call supposedly a gangster or a gang member, but it's not that simple. So here we go. I'm gonna share a little experience. I'm gonna use one of my homeboy from the hood. They call him Flea from Jeff Rocks. Korean homie, crazy ass dude and shit. And yeah, this was in Calipat. I'm not sure what year ago was this, but in the hole, he was in the hole. I believe I'm not sure what building that is. Probably building 5 in Calipat. And in the hole, there was PCs over there. PCs are protective custodies. There are dropouts. There are different from GPs, active inmates and shit. And to summarize again, PCs and protective custodies are consist of dropouts, snitches, child molesters, baby rapists, sex offenders. If you're a police enforcer, a police officer, and you go to jail, you go to prison, that's where you go to PC, because you cannot be in mainline. You will get killed, you will get stabbed. So those are not allowed in mainline, in general population, in GP. So that's the difference. So back to my story. The homie Flea, the Korean homie Flea in Calipat and shit. There's a code that people go by, man. If you're a PC, we don't acknowledge you. You can talk all your shit in the vent, in the tier, in the building. Yeah, whatever you want. All the disrespectful words that you can possibly say from the top of your imagination. And people that are GP, the people that are active, they're not supposed to acknowledge your existence, you know, because you're a dropout, you're a PC. And what happened was, one of the PC, I think, I'm not sure if it was a essay or a paisa, he was talking hella shit to the Korean homie Flea, but they were in the hole. So he probably said everything he could probably say in the books, man. Fuck you, this and that. Fuck your mama, whatever, whatever. And I guess the homie got pissed off. It got to his head. So he decided he wanna try to bust a grape and try to get one of them, you know. So what happened was, during yard time, they did yard for the PCs. So while the PCs was out the yard, outside the building, doing their little yard time or whatever and shit, or whichever rec yard they were doing showers for the mainline guys, for the regular guys in the hole. And from what I was told, the homeboy Flea, rest in peace, he you know, he went to the showers with his strap. And then when it was time, when after the showers, cause you only get like 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes, you gotta be done. After he was done, he tried to tell the police that his cell was that cell, the PC cell. So he ended up going in there and the police, they probably wasn't paying attention and cracked the door. So Flea went into the PC cell, hid under the bed, trying to act like that was his cell with the strap. Until he waited. He waited till the yard was over for the PCs, and then I guess the PC that was talking shit to Flea came back from the yard, and as soon as the door closed, the homeboy Flea just came out from under the bed with the strap and fucking start putting in work and shit, start getting the PCs. And that's what happens, man, because he let the PC get into his head, and from my own experience in Arizona, in the hole, they were there too. uh, One of the PCs, I can hear him in the tier, they were talking hella shit to the Southsiders, man. Whatever they can imagine that's gonna get into the SA's head, they were saying it, man. Fuck you, we're happy right here in the dropout yard, in the SNY yard. Fuck you, you're paying taxes, you gotta go by the code, we don't gotta do nothing, we happy right here, we genuinely happy. They're saying they're it was funny, man. I'm just listening, I believe I was the only Asian at that time in that section in Arizona. I was a kick out from Oklahoma. And no matter what, the Southsider, because he was still active, he was still GP, no matter what, the soldier SA was just quiet, man, because that's the code. You're not supposed to acknowledge the PC, and one of the PC was my neighbor also. He was trying to talk to me. He was knocking on the vent like, "Hey, who's that? Where you from? Hey, you active?" And I'm not gonna fucking respond back either and shit in the vent. They were trying to talk to me. They were trying to bang on the wall. It was pissing me off. They keep banging on the wall, man. In my head, I'm like, "Fuck, dog. This was gonna fuck with me. They probably not gonna let me sleep and just fuck with me all day and bang on the wall." And I guess they got tired, man. Come on, they're that's what they feel. They feel this inner turmoil that they are dishonor themselves, and then they want to justify it by, oh, we gotta think about their family now, this and that. You should have ride it out, man. Because they should have just rode it out and ride it out till the end, till death, man. Because you started it, you gotta finish it. So that's the difference, man. That's the code. You're not supposed to acknowledge them. Don't let them get into your head. And to each his own, man. Like I said, what's happening right now is the pieces already took over, and the main line is just like a few percentage of the population. It's like, it is what it is. Like I said earlier, last time it was the Snitch 9 generation. So that's how you know the difference, which one is real and which one is not. You know what I'm talking about? Hopefully, I shed a little bit of light from that little story and shit. So, moving on. Doing time with the Bulldogs. I never met any Bulldogs until I got to CYA, Stockton. And if you ask me, they were also outnumbered. They had shorter number than the Norte, man. And from what I know is that, what do you call this? They how do you say this? The deepest one is the Sureño. Out of 100, perhaps Norteños would only be like 50 to 60, and the Bulldogs would only be like 20. And from what I know, the Sureños are the first main prison gang that started, and they were trying to convince the northern Mexicans to be under them, be with them. They refused to, so they ended up becoming a Norteño. And then the Norteño are trying to convince the Fresno Bulldogs to be under them and be as one with them. And yet the Fresno Bulldog decided, like, nah, fuck that, we're gonna be our own shit, we Fresno Bulldogs. So they branched off also from the Norte. So the Sureño, the Norte, and the Bulldogs, so they were the most outnumbered. They were the most short in numbers, the Fresno, because Fresno, California is only like one place in Central Valley that that's in the middle of the Norte and the Sureño. So, but they hold their own from the way I see them. They're 9 out of 10 ratio. They're pretty solid, man, from what I see. And going back to CYA, you can tell them the difference because, like I said earlier, last time, the Sureño, they would have a dot right here, and then another 3 dots right here, which represents 1 3 for the number 13 for the Mexican mafia. And then if you see a Hispanic, Latino, Chicano background with a 1 dot right here and a 4 dots on the other side, that would represent 1 4, which is 14 for the N for the Norteño, you know. And for the Bulldogs, what you would mostly see is that, I mean, not all of them, but if you see a Mexican or Hispanic background with a dog paw in their face or anywhere else in their body, that's like a 99.9%. That's a Bulldog. So that's how it was, you know. And how it goes over there is that you can't say certain words that's gonna disrespect the Bulldogs. If anybody in YA or on that institution accidentally say the word frog or bullfrog, that's cracking ears. That's disrespectful word for the Bulldogs, and they would have no choice but to take off on sight within 3 seconds. Otherwise, they get repercussions for not taking off within 3 seconds. That's how it is. And when you get put on the light over there, is that, for example, I cracked theirs. I fucked up. It was an accident. It was on purpose. Who knows? But I said the word. Somebody hears it. Frog. I said frog. I said bullfrog. And a Bulldog hears it. Or even a Southsider hears it. The Southsider's going to tell the Bulldog, and the Bulldog's going to take off on me and rush me ASAP. And then when we fight, for example, we get down in the opens, or we fight. He can't. If I somehow fell to the floor, and then if I fell to the floor and then he stomped me out while I was on the floor, and then it's gonna kick off, all my homies are gonna jump in, and then everybody else, all these homies are gonna jump in. But if we just fight, just regular fight, that would be it, you know. And he can't punch me from the side. He can't punch me from the back. It has to be face to face. You gotta call me out face to face. That's how it is. And also, for example, like using myself as an example. For example, I cracked ears accidentally or intentional, and I'm in a hole, and there's a list. I have to fight 5 Bulldogs in order to get off the Bulldogs light. The police, they know about it, so the gang coordinators, they're gonna talk to the main rep for the Bulldog, and if I was on the light for the Bulldog, on the green light for the Bulldog, and then every time I come out the hole, they have to take off on me on sight, and while I'm in the hole, they could trade me off. For example, one of their people, one of the Bulldogs, cracked ears for the Asian. They say the word chink, or for the Filipinos, they say the word flip-flop. That's a mando. You cracking ears. That's this disrespectful word. So that guy from the Bulldogs, for example, the Bulldog that cracked ears in the hole for the Asians, or for example the Norte, because we allies, and then I'm in the light. I'm on the green light for them. The gang leaders could coordinate and make a deal and say, all right, how about this? We'll take youngster off the light so he can get out the hole, and then in replacement, we will take let's just say Pancho or something. We're gonna take Pancho off the light, so we'll both come out the hole for free, and we don't have to continue to fight that was on the list that we have to fight in order to get off the light for cracking ears, for disrespecting. And there's a lot of ways where you can get put on the light by cracking ears. Also, if you have eye crackers or eye busters, and Those are the if you have somebody else's hood tattooed on your body and it's crossed out like this and you have a K at the end of it. K stands for killer. That means you're killing them on sight. Then they're gonna put you on the light. Your enemies have to rush you on site 24/7 every time until somebody else gets shipped out. You know, so it's a lot of games in there. There's a lot of fucking games. You just gotta know how to play it, and you just gotta. It is what it is. That's how it was over there. It was already made like that, you know, when I got there. So that's one of the examples of what happens if you do crack ears. But yeah, I can't speak on the Bulldogs in the Pinta and the penitentiary because personally I never ran into them because I never hit Pleasant Valley. From what I know, Pleasant Valley is where they were at, but I never hit Pleasant Valley. So in the pin, never ran into any Bulldogs. But the only experience I had with the Bulldogs was from CYA Stockton. Uh, so yeah, hopefully I shed some light, man, and you guys probably to those who can relate, to those who understand, to the people that have been through what I've been through, and people that was involved in the gang world. But for the regular civilians out from the outside looking in, there's a lot of shit going on right here, man. So it's not everything what you see from TV or from YouTube and shit, from Hollywood and shit. Somebody in YouTube could be fucking looking all buff, talking all that shit on YouTube and shit, and all tatted up, face tatted up, doesn't necessarily mean that he's an active gang member or gang member, or he was on a in the main line on a GP line. You know, he could have been on Mill Creek. You know, he could have been a piece of shit PC and shit. But now he wanna go out to the real world and portray himself as this big badass motherfucker and shit because he looks the part. You know, so do not be deceived. I'm just hopefully I shed a little bit of light that it's not everything what you think it is. There's really so much more into it and shit, you know. And yeah, so everybody else out there, so you can tell from the comment section, you can tell the real OGs that was commenting on my shit, and you can tell the net bangers, the fucking PCs and shit. That's what they do. So hopefully it goes through your head before you even thinking about putting in work. Oh, oh, putting in work and talking all that shit over there. You know, yeah, I'm gonna talk this shit. That you know, that will teach him. Come on, that's not what it is, man. This is not how it works. So, anywho, that's it for this little episode right here and shit, man. Like I said, I'm still gonna be talking about the rest of the prison gangs, and of course, with the homies, with the Asian Islander cars and shit, what goes on in there, and things that are going on inside and shit, you know, about Filipinos, Vietnamese, Cambodians, Thai, all the Hmongs, you know, the Koreans, everybody. The USO, shout out to the USO homies and shit, to the Tongan homies and shit, to the Guamanians. So I'm gonna get into all that later on. So anywho, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in, man. I appreciate it. Say what you mean and mean what you say, homie, cause real recognize real, I'm out of here.